Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Marcel. I go by Vigo Gallup on Instagram. If you want to follow me, I'll put the link in the description. Today I'm going to be talking about books that I have on my list, my read before I die list, my TBR before I die. The concept of this, I don't know where it came from exactly, but I heard about it through Better Than Food book reviews. He gave a series of recommendations on about how to best like habits and practices for um, having a good reading life. And one of the things that he recommended was to create a list of approximately 10 books, your own original curated list of books that reflect your own personal goals as a reader, and create a list and see how long it takes you to read it. I created this list a while ago, um, probably around 2023. Um, and I'm not that far into it. But thought I haven't finished too many of the books yet. But I'm gonna start with the books that I have completed, and then move on to the books that remain. So the first book that I'll be talking about is Hunger by Newt Hobson. I recently just completed this. And I thought it was an okay book. If for those who don't know, Hobson wrote this in the late 1800s. It kind of is a very disturbing book about a man that is literally a starving artist. It's kind of a plotless novel. It's more focused on the experiences of the character. It's very character driven, and I liked it. I think that I'll probably be one of my favorite books of the year, but I still think that suffered from it being a bit repetitive, but I still respected it as what it respected it for what it contributed to, like the very beginning stages of modernism. Um, Finished that. Happy to read that. And a few years back, I read uh, "The Sleep of the Righteous" by Wolfgang Ilbrig. That book is a very short book that's focusing on the theme of memory, the theme of living in a war torn country. The ending of the book is very different from the majority of the book. The majority of the book is very poetic and has very beautiful language, and the ending of it surprisingly kind of shifts to kind of like a thriller novel, which I found to be surprising. That is a writer that I like. Like I get very immersed in his language, but in terms of it leaving a long lasting impact on me, his books don't really do that. I have a difficult time recalling his books, and I think that Sleep of the Righteous is perhaps either the second or third book I read by him. I'm not sure. Um, but it was worthwhile reading. The book that I've been reading for quite a long time is Interpretation of Dreams by Sigmund Freud. I am about I have 200 pages left of that book. Um, as you might notice, the last two books have been written by German writers. Those types of authors interest me, and for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure why. And I started years ago. I read a book on Austrian history, and that just started getting me, bringing me down a rabbit hole. Um, so that book, The Interpretation of Dreams, for those who don't know, kind of talking about the significance of dreams as a understanding of one's self-conscious. It begins with a rather lengthy kind of literature review of other um, resources that were written on the topic at the time, and then moves on to making the argument that every dream is a wish fulfillment. And I'm kind of getting to the point where he's giving a lot of examples, and it just seems like the kind of thing criticism I have of the book is that it's like seems very he's interpreting different dreams in the exact same way with a big priority on the sex drive, and it's kind of driving me a little bit crazy, but I will continue. um, and the last book on the list I've actually finished or started is the third book of the My Struggle series by Karl Ove Knausgaard. That book is probably the most popular on this list, so I'm not going to go into it too much detail. I liked it. I definitely preferred book two over book three, but it was good. It had gave me some. It was very sensitive, as Knausgaard tends to be. There are moments that kind of made me laugh, and and yeah, it focuses mostly on his childhood as opposed to his other books, which focus more on the mourning process of parents. So, uh, so the next book, I'm actually 100 pages into this, is Robert Musil's The Man Without Qualities. Yet another Austrian on this list, German language writer. Um, it's a strange book. I don't know if I have any opinions about it yet, but it's a novel of ideas, as I heard people describe it as. It's every chapter feels different, at least for the first part, and it's starting to feel a little bit more plot driven as within the last 20 or so pages. But some chapters describe characters, while other chapters are kind of philosophical digressions that sound way more like they are essays um, rather than a traditional narrative. So my thoughts on that are pending. I'm a big time Sebald fan, so this is the last work of fiction I have of his, and that is Vertigo. Do not know really what this is about. The backs of his books are always very difficult to comprehend and don't always accurately describe, in my opinion, don't accurately describe what the books tend to be about. So I'll find out what it is. I But yeah, once I finish that, it'll be the last Sebald book I have to read. So that will complete that journey, and after that, I guess I'll only have, I think, two. I think there are maybe two essay collections that I have, and his poetry I've not read yet. So the other book on my list is Thomas Pynchon's Bleeding Edge. I plan on reading all of Pynchon's work. I've read Vineland, I've read Against the Day, I've read Inherent Vice, and I have read The Crying of Lot 49. So I'm going to continue that journey. I'm excited to read that. Another book I know very little bit about, Lord of Darkness, The Lord of Dark Places by Hal Bennett. I do not know anything about this book. This is an American writer, an African American writer. He was born in Virginia but grew up in New Jersey. I believe this book is kind of transgressive, if I understand it correctly. And I don't, and was born in the 30s, so have not read enough American. I feel like I went through a long period where I was reading American literature, and I've kind of fallen off, as this list can tell. I don't have too many Americans represented. That's only the second. So it'll give me some more dimension to my reading list. So here's another book, Ivo Andrić, The Bridge on the Drina. I don't know much about this book. It seems like it's 20th century literature. I believe that he is Czech. Not entirely sure. Believe he might be Czech. But yeah, I'm interested in that. We'll see how I feel about that. And finally, need to read some Nietzsche, Beyond Good and Evil. We'll see how I feel about reading that. I sometimes read philosophy, not that frequently. As you can see, I'm into reading Freud and will probably read more Freud in my life. But I think that since Nietzsche and Freud are very complementary of one another, I think that, and also grew up in like similar times and in similar places, that I'm curious to see, to add a little bit more dimension to my understanding of 20th century philosophy. So this is a big chunk of a book. It is Catholic School by Edoardo Albernati, Italian writer. He's the only contemporary on this list. Well, I guess Thomas Pynchon is technically a contemporary. I'll call Ove Knausgaard as well, so I guess I take that back. Albernaty is a writer I do not know anything about. I know that this is addresses themes of manhood, young men, young students of Catholic school, and kind of deals with the kind of intersectionality between toxic masculinity and Italian fascism. I believe that it also has some history in it. I think that there is a crime that was committed that's a true crime in it. But that's about all I really know about that. And I really like Thomas Mann, and I'm curious what I think this is his Klaus Mann. I believe that's his nephew. I don't think it's his son. I'm just kind of curious about what another family member of his is like. And the final book on my list is Cuban American writer Richard Frenia. Been down so long it looks like up to me. This is a friend of Thomas Pynchon, so I'm interested in knowing about the type of social circle that Thomas Pynchon hung out with. I know that Richard Frenia is a musician in a very similar vein as Bob Dylan, American folk music. He was in a relationship with Mimi Baez, Joan Baez's sister, and he was a very talented musician. He lived a very short life. I believe he died in a car crash or something to that effect in his late 20s. This is I believe the only book that he wrote. So I'm very curious to see what type of book this is. I believe that I've heard that it's quite funny at times, and the opening is this interesting kind of Homeric verse type of situation. So I'm a little bit interested in how that's applied to the novel. I believe the main character is a Greek American, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't really know too much about it. So that's my list. Thank you for watching. I might do more of these in the future. Please follow me on Instagram, Viggo Gallop, VIGGO _GALLOP. And maybe I'll make more of these in the future. Maybe my production value will increase as I do more of these, but I'm just doing this for fun and seeing if anyone actually watches them. But if you're watching, thank you. All right, take care.